All right, guys, welcome to another edition, of This Week in Crypto. I'm getting over a bit of a cough. I apologize for that. My name is Brian. Our CEO and founder, Maksim, should be joining momentarily, and we will be going over the markets together. Quite a bit to cover today. We definitely saw a bit of a dip that caused some concern and a little bit of a flip in sentiment, so we'll be covering that. Also, plenty of news stories that we can track that are undoubtedly affecting the markets, and probably responsible for the dip yesterday was the war tensions between Israel and Iran. The latest going on there. We saw, trending stories yesterday across social media about a potential World War III, which happens now and then. We're looking at the trending stories tab, which is in beta right now. You'll only be seeing it if you are a pro member at the time, but this is a great way to kind of get a lay of the land and an understanding of what the latest stuff that's been impacting the markets are over the last 48, 72 hours or so. You can see WW3 trending concerns being the number 4 topic in crypto right now. Number 1 being Netanyahu war tensions. Number 2, Ahmedabad plane crash, where we had a significant amount of casualties, unfortunately, related to the Air India flight. And then at number 3 here, we see the Coinbase USDC partnership news that was one of the more positive stories we've seen in a while. Coinbase partnered with American Express to launch the Coinbase One card, offering up to 4% Bitcoin back on purchases, collaborations with Shopify and Stripe to enable USD coin stablecoin payments for millions of merchants, and the expansion of crypto payment infrastructure on platforms like Shopify using Coinbase's base network. So undoubtedly, people were excited about this. It does appear as though, the top exchange, at least in the US, and one of the top exchanges in the world, is getting closer or moving the mainstream adoption goal closer to fruition as of late. So that's great to see. The Iris token had a big surge. So we saw a 500x return for the early participants. If you happen to be one of them, congratulations for that. Ethereum continues to be very much in the spotlight, as we've discussed in previous calls. The number 2 market cap is outpacing Bitcoin by a pretty wide margin over the past month or so, even going back to late April when the rally was really kicking off for a lot of different altcoins. We had GameStop. It actually corrected a lot yesterday from what I saw. Ryan Cohen and his focus on trading cards and Bitcoin investments. It's in the news. There's a lot of very bullish bulls and very bearish bears related to GameStop, just like it's 2022 all over again, back when the AMC and the Dogecoin craze was at its peak. GameStop is doing its part to kind of get a second wind here, and whether good or bad, they appear to not mind being in the spotlight among crypto investors because of its very speculative nature these days. Stellar blockchain growth, Ondo Finance milestone. We have sushi DeFi trends here. So there's some other large cap assets that have been in the spotlight as well over the past week. So if you do want a little more elaboration on these, while you're watching the show, let us know in the chat. We can also kind of backtrack as we go through a little bit of news before the end of the call. I wanted to highlight the fact that we released a bi-weekly report yesterday. If I can find it. Let's see here. Yeah, so this report we put out yesterday in collaboration with Bybit, we discussed whale transactions. And for those who may not be aware, whale transactions are a great way to identify when there's a pivot upcoming in the markets, whether it's for Bitcoin itself, which will affect all markets, of course, no matter what coin you're invested in. You should always be paying a little bit of attention to Bitcoin. But especially if it's a smaller cap coin where it's a little more centralized and whales have even more power than they do for Bitcoin, you can see here, even for Bitcoin, when you see a very large spike, it can lead to a pretty sizable correction. You can see when they're buying the dip, and that often signals a bottom like it did here or even right here. It's a really interesting article, and we even discuss some of the coins that are being accumulated right now, Shiba Inu being one of them, Anchor and LCX. They're worth your attention, not investment advice, but we did see spikes pretty much right at the bottom for all three of them, and they've been climbing since. And then on the other end of the spectrum, some potential top candidates, again, not investment advice. Things can keep rallying despite the signal that we're seeing from whales. But SPX 6900, the popular meme coin, is one that had been absolutely surging and then suddenly saw what appeared to have been a big profit-taking spike there. Compound is another one where it has been on a massive rally and then suddenly sees this little purple whale transaction spike that's a little behind the candle, but you can see it close up. And then UMA, same thing. Look at how there was a huge whale transaction spike on June 8th, followed by a pretty sizable correction. So we go over exactly why this tends to happen, how you can react to other coins where you may spot this in the future. And of course, on the activity matrix here, it's a great way for you to actually look at all of the, top 3, top 400 market cap assets where we do have whale transaction data, which are primarily ERC20 assets. And you can find when a whale transaction spike is peering its head out and giving you alpha that you otherwise probably would not have seen by having to click by one asset at a time. So it can be really useful, and I hope you guys are still getting some use out of the activity matrix, which is continuing to work just fine. And we find a lot of great stories out there on a daily basis that we can share with you. Okay, moving on to the screener here really quick. I want to show some of the price trends overall that we've seen over the past week. By the way, no Maksim yet, right? No Maksim. Okay, so the past week, there have been some trends that are worth noting here. Trump with hat, huge week, more than doubled its market cap. Grok up here as well. Let's get rid of the extreme cases really quickly so we can see other big spikes. Hyperliquid up almost 17%. Uniswap 21% rise. Aave plus 13%. These two in particular highlight a very big week for DeFi assets in particular. And then you can see Internet Computer and Whitebit. They had pretty modest gains. Bitcoin up a little under 1% itself, and Ethereum up another 2.5%. You can see probably a little more than half did retrace over the past week. So this was overall an up and down week, but with the top two market caps in crypto both gaining, this could be a good sign for the upcoming week as we head into the second half of June here. Social volume-wise, Bitcoin did see a little bit of a pullback in discussion compared to the week prior. Ethereum continues to get more and more discussion compared to its previous weeks. Solana took a big step back in discussion. Dogecoin, Raptron, Grok. There's a few that have pulled back overall, but overall, I still see that social volume is kind of ramping up as more and more new people enter the space and recognize that we've been in a pretty nice bull cycle for about 2 months now, going back to right around April 9th, which was the local bottom for crypto and kind of when we saw peak fear in terms of the tariffs related to Donald Trump and what he had been implementing and threatening on China and the EU in particular. Those are both put on pause. I want to remind everyone the tariffs have not gone away. The initial reaction from markets was severe drops and arguably a legitimate crash when they were first announced, but as Trump kind of kicked the can down the road and we saw that he was trying to work things out with the respective nations, markets quickly rose back up, and the S&P 500 did hit repeated all-time highs over this previous 2-month rally that we've been on. And as far as where we're at now, I do see that crypto is staying kind of nose to nose with the S&P, which is an expected sign. We've kind of seen a pretty tight correlation between the two over the past 3 years, really going back to the interest raise hikes that were going on back in 2022, and then the subsequent cuts in 2023 and 2024. Obviously, the FOMC is still going to be a very big story as we get into the next week, where Jerome Powell has been pressured very transparently by Trump and his administration to cut interest rates, which would benefit stock markets and crypto. Powell did hold firm so far with his words, but he's being pressured, and we will see next week whether he decides to make an interest rate cut. I think the odds, probability-wise, are pretty low on Polymarket that anything changes. The trend for the last almost a year now, a little over half a year, has been to leave interest rates alone. So that's kind of where we're at now. And the S&P 500 is having a bit of a pullback day today, but I don't see much changing. It's kind of just going to be a kind of hold on tight situation up until midweek next week when we get the official announcement. Gold, by the way, has been a big benefit as they try to push past their all-time high, which happened back in late April. So a lot of people, as they await crypto to kind of rebound back to that 112K all-time high, might be looking into physical gold rather than the so-called digital gold that Bitcoin and crypto are often referred to as. But yeah, since June 8th, we see Bitcoin down a little over 1%. The S&P is about even, and gold is actually up almost 4%. So that's quite a contrast between the three sectors here. Okay. I also wanted to point out the ETFs right now are rebounding quite nicely. So for those who are kind of worried about where we're at now, let me give a little hard refresh just to make sure it updates the price as well. Now the price is still on the daily, so it's going to show 107, even though we're actually around the 105 area right now. But either way, if we look at the last 4 days, we've got a little over $1 billion now worth of inflows, net inflows, that is, over the week. So Monday through Thursday is what these candles are, and all four have been some nice inflows. Ethereum ETFs, for what it's worth, even though we don't have data, they're going on 18, potentially 19 straight days of inflows rather than outflows. So that's a huge story as well. And people invested in the number 2 market cap asset are undoubtedly quite pleased about that at this time. But either way, for the Bitcoin side of things, these were the concerns here when we were seeing some huge outflows at the turn of the month. And then we had a couple mild inflows and then more outflows. So things were looking pretty bad going into the second week of June, but we've rebounded nicely. And this is what I would call a bit of a bullish divergence, where prices are moving down. It's actually a little lower than where the close was yesterday. And then we're having 4 straight inflow days coinciding with that. Pretty nice sign that we can rebound. And, the probability of 110K is a little higher than 100K when you see these kinds of signs right now. Now, other signs to watch would be the 10 to 10K BTC wallets, right? They're always worth keeping a close eye on. And right now they are a little bit down. We looked from May 11th. Whoops, actually, sorry. I got to make sure this is refreshed as well. I did have it updated before. Maybe it's on a different tab at the moment. There we go. Okay. So when we look at this line here, June 3rd, up until now, they have dropped overall in the past 9 completed days. We've got data up until the close of June 12th. Today's June 13th. They've dropped about 37.4K BTC. So that isn't the best sign considering prices are actually about even from where they were when they started to dump. So that would imply we could actually go down just a little bit further to even out the dumping that's been going on from this key stakeholder tier. That said, we are starting to see a little bit of a modest rise over the past 3 days where they've added 5,137 BTC back. So at its base, we actually saw them dumping about 42.5K over that week between the 3rd and the 9th. And now they're up just slightly. But I'd still like to see them pick up the pace. Today's a pretty crucial day as we head into the FOMC decision next week. So far, markets being down isn't the best sign, but it's very early in the day here in the US. And I would advise you to keep an eye on the next few hours as we get into the second half of the stock market trading day, especially with Bitcoin ETFs, which we'll keep an eye on and probably update you again as we get into the weekend to see if we get a 5th straight inflow day. That would imply that the on-chain accumulation is likely going the same direction, just as we've seen them start to accumulate a bit this week to match the Bitcoin ETFs. I would imagine if we get another ETF inflow day rather than outflow, it's going to be a good sign that the 10 to 10K BTC wallets are also starting to grab a lot of the loose Bitcoin that retailers are shedding while we saw this dip. And speaking of that, when we look at retailers, there's a few things we can do here. I want to look at the 0 to 0.1 tier. All right, welcome, Maksim. Let me just finish this point, and then I would love to get your thoughts on how things are looking. So the 0 to 0.1 BTC wallets, they've actually been moving down, which is a strong sign, dropping a modest 0.02% of their supply. You can see on the line, though, they've been continually moving down as prices move up. That's generally how it works. You want retail to be continually dropping as the smart money is accumulating those coins. And that's exactly what's going on right now. So this was the concern from late May up until around June 8th when retail was accumulating rapidly, especially right here when they were accumulating and smart money was dumping. But now we've got the right pattern going on again. And this again implies a good bullish argument that we can recover pretty quickly as long as retail keeps panic selling on this mild dip. So I wanted to make that point. And with that said, Brother Balance, you've joined the call. Great to have you here. How are you doing? And how are the markets looking from your perspective right now?
Hi, Brian. Hello, everyone.
Your mic is a little for a moment.
Doing good, Brian. As we were discussing yesterday, you, me, and another Maksim, somewhat timely, expecting a price drop based on a set of metrics which we saw yesterday. We can check them now if anything changed. From what I remember, the major concern from our side was that after long weeks of quite healthy profit taken visible through net realized profit loss, it stopped for 1 week, or let's say for the last 5 days, and it's usually a dangerous sign. Yeah? So yesterday we checked, and it was still like it was when we were talking, it was a gentle decline. There was no war yet, and we say, doesn't look good. So probably we need to wait till it activates. We can visit this one, and I'm connecting with what you said before. You say mild retrace, we might need to see deeper one. Yeah. We might need to see deeper one. as based on that metric alone, there seems to be no panic in the market, or not much. And when you see market is not panicking, of course we're always like making a bets or possibilities. Say, I would like to see more worried, concerned reaction. Yeah. So this is if boiled down to one metric, even though it's never just one metric. You always look on a combination. And as you just shared, I joined already when you were sharing it. This small hodlers decreasing their holdings. Okay, that's a good one. However, I remember also yesterday we were discussing total amount of hodlers, of Bitcoin hodlers. That was increasing quite strongly lately, which is not that good sign. What do we see there now?
Yeah, I'll reshare here and I'll show that. So in terms of total holders, here's where we're at. I'll get rid of social dominance here. They've kind of flattened out a bit, which is a strong sign. So June 7th, they were at 55.48 million, and they've dropped about 39.4K since.
Okay.
So that's a good sign.
Yeah, okay. By the way, can we check our social trend tool and see buy the dip, buy or bought, dip or dips? Do you have this? I have this query saved. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, maybe
usually
it's in
usually it's one of the shortcuts. Let me see if it's here.
No, I think
it's okay. I can rewrite it really quick. Buy and dip.
No. Okay, actually it's buy or bought.
Buy or bought.
And then dip or dips. Let's
see what we got.
This should cover already good enough. Okay.
Yeah, so there was a legit, especially social dominance wise, this is the largest social dominance spike we saw yesterday when we were dipping since the tariff panic in early April.
Okay. Well, you see, actually, it's a very interesting case. If you remove this, what was on the tariff side, I mean, you take time after this. Just select it after this. Yeah. Maybe this is a good one. I don't know if 1 month is enough.
You want me to zoom into like the last week?
No. What I want to show, extend it a bit more. When was this tariff retracement?
That was from like April 2nd to the 9th. That's when we were seeing just havoc.
Okay.
So this is the last month from mid-May to now.
When was the tariffs?
April 2nd to 9th.
What I want to show is that the very, very last one spike in by the dips, it kind of worked. You see this on when was it? Not this one.
Yeah, June 5th.
Okay, but the one before did not work. It kind of temporarily, and then goes down, and we have even a stronger dip.
Right.
Yeah. So I can definitely come out with a story. But I'm not sure how reliable it will be. Usually it works the best when you have long distance of dips, and then they start diverging. Less and less talks about the dip, more and more talks about and actions confirms that they're panicking. But here's the story that one time it does show a reversal going up, another time before it didn't show. So we cannot make a conclusion based on this metric alone. Okay. But it's a sizable one, so the chance is there.
There is another social trend that I had pulled up, and this one tells a pretty good story as well. So we're just looking at low prices versus high prices, and you can see they're pretty even if you go back in time. So I'm actually using a shared axis here, and you can see clear times when people are calling for 116K or above. Remember, we have not gone past 112, so this is still applicable. And when we get really red here, meaning there's a lot of price calls for numbers we have not yet seen in Bitcoin, that's when we top out. When we see a lot of lower calls below where we've been at 69K down to 26K, that's when we tend to bottom out. So we saw a very good top signal right here, very good bottom signal right here. Then we were kind of going sideways and it was alternating between red and blue. Then we got big blue spikes here as we dipped on June 5th.
Mhm.
And then as we got close to the all-time high again,
Okay.
early in the week, June 9th, 10th, 11th, big red spikes here indicating a top. And now we're kind of going sideways a little bit. I'm actually surprised there's not more blue, indicating there's just not quite enough fear that we had on the previous dips. And I think that's a bit of a concern, the fact that people are staying optimistic on higher prices as opposed to lower prices, even though we've kind of retraced the same way we did the last times there were a lot of blues here going on. So from a short-term swing trading perspective, if you're bullish, you should be rooting for more of these low price calls to be pouring in, and they really haven't done so yet. So that's something I'm watching a lot right now. I think overall the sentiment is kind of mixed. If we go to positive versus negative sentiment,
Yeah.
which I can do.
Oh, yeah.
So I'll look at just Bitcoin, go to the last week. So overall, we saw it actually go very negative. There were more bearish comments than bullish ones right at the bottom here. So this would have been your clear signal to buy. And now we bounced up at least back to kind of the neutral area. You know, if we call more or less something like right there, anything below that is a good bounce signal. And anything above around here,
As you
Is-
speak, I'm also checking it on my side. Yeah. But you keep
Yeah.
saying. You keep talking. Yeah.
anything above here is a good top signal. Maybe even we'd go a little higher to like here so we can see the times where it really got above. These are the times you want to be a little worrisome. And these are the times you want to feel confident that prices can keep going up because markets go the opposite direction of the crowd's expectations. And we want to be rooting for panic. Right now, we're kind of in the middle, a little more toward the panic side still, which is a good sign. But like we saw on the other chart, there just aren't that many calls for those really low prices right now. And until that changes, I'd be a little bit concerned. It's a little bit of a mixed signal at the moment. And another thing I wanted to point out, Maxim, I put out a poll last night.
Yeah. What is the result so far?
So I said we dipped as low as 103.1K, down a modest negative 4% in the past 36 hours. What's the move? 51% said it's time to buy the dip. 20% said hodl for glory. And about 28.5% said bail.
You know what? Next time, if you do it in a few days, do another sequence. Put place by the dip, the very last one. So that's the first vote for not so trivial choices. Hodl for glory, bail before under, or actually bail before under 100K. It's I'm not sure even I understand what you mean with this.
It just means exit the markets before Bitcoin goes under 100, implying that those
you
people believe we're
probably
going to
to
keep dipping.
Keep in mind the average might be not so clear understanding what is meant with this. They could mean different things. Someone could say, okay, but actually, for the first time I read, I thought buy before, buy under 100K, but then I read carefully. Oh wait, maybe not sure about it. So but the main thing plays buy the dip the last one.
Got it. So you think the order kind of influences things a little bit if they see buy the
a
dip
little bit,
first.
yeah. I'm not sure actually. It has to be proven. Just want to see if someone jump into okay, I will buy below 100K. It's a subtle the same like buy the dip, just expecting prices to decline more. So it also can give some hint.
Sure thing. But I also wanted to point out there were quite a few polarizing comments underneath. We've
Yeah,
got
such as?
crypto is regret. We have this is a joke, right? Wait till it drops 25 to 30 grand, you noob. So
Oh,
that's
wow.
quite a strong comment. This person says long, strong, down to get the friction on. That's a Baby Got Back reference, a rap song in the US. Coinbase app moving up in the ranks, bullish, and then a bunch of bots. But the point is, there's a lot of polarization going on right now. People are either very bullish or very bearish, and not a lot of in between. I'm actually surprised a fifth of them said hodl for glory. I think this is mostly just a reflection of indecisiveness, not sure what to
Maybe.
do. But yeah, the comments, you can tell that they're getting a little bit strong when people are almost insulting in their answers. So that's just something I've been noticing.
Yeah. For now, I think it's slightly more prefer to go lower. And then, not slightly actually, I would say 70 to 30. 70% we go below the level we had hit in the night. And then the key would be like two keys. One, we saw already some tweets at least. And you shared also comment, expecting for whatever reason 30,000 below the current price. Yeah, 30 grand or like 60, 70K is the buy in this area. If we see more of it, okay, then that's the bottom. Because it's like irrational. Why would you expect Bitcoin now to suddenly lose 30K? I mean, it can happen, but not at once. And it will take quite a few weeks, at least. So, but if we don't see these comments, and we don't see a network realized profit low spikes, okay, then we can continue lower. Yeah, we can continue lower. It's as simple as that. And for the moment, I checked our, and yeah, of course, this metric is good. I also looked on my site. Yes, it's close, not far from zero. So if we break below zero, it means there is indeed more negative than positive messages. It doesn't happen so often. True. And so far, every single time it signals the bottom. That will be a good one. Guys using Sunbase, this is the matrix, yeah? Network realized profit loss on Bitcoin, then this formula for positive over negative sentiment, and just the social trend. Currently, all trending words all about Iran, Israel. If it stays like this, okay, more likely for bottom because it means we're still around the narrative which is negative. If it changes, we need to revisit. Yeah, this one.
Yeah, it's not the same thing. Iran, Israel, war,
yeah,
strikes,
all of them.
nuclear. It's all about
Almost all
war
of them.
at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I also opened Alpha Narratives that was updated today. And I'm definitely seeing a rise in AI discussion. I see a big rise here in Kaido, Laudio, and Yappers. So I think this is about the upcoming announcements from Kaido.
Nah, it's more like, no, it's a different one. It's more about, at least what I heard, that people are not happy at all with how it developed. Now it becomes just even more noise than it was before. Supposed to give you a signal, and now everyone just stakes some money and it's shilled everywhere. Shill as a service became. And it's, at least I heard from some funds or some listing teams that they cannot use it anymore, the tool. It's became, so you can read the text if it is about this.
Yeah, it's just a lot of hashtags and name shout outs on X.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
it's just kind of garbage.
Additional noise in this in the space.
Exactly. I'm also seeing a little bit of a rise in real world assets and tokenization.
Yes,
So
sure.
both RWAs and AI are getting some increased attention at the end of the week here. Maybe worth looking into. XRP having a slight rise in discussion with the XRP ETF progress with the SEC. This little pink one here is the Circle IPO, which continues to get attention. Obviously, last week it had like a huge 160% rise right out of the gates, and that attracted quite a bit of attention. And that's about it. If we go back to some of the other spikes, Tether had a big jump in discussion, acquiring a 32% stake in a Canadian gold-focused firm, Elemental, for $89 million. Stable coins in general, that was probably related to the same thing with the Tether acquisition. Memecoins had a midweek jump. Meme Throne, Giga, Dogecoin are out there right now as big topics.
Brian, do you have this market cap or social dominance volume for different verticals? Was it market caps or social volume?
Yeah, I've got both social dominance as well as volume. I can start with social dominance here. So if we just go last month, make that a little more granular. So all three are actually kind of dropping as of late. I don't know. This might just mean there's a little more talk about stuff like Ethereum or AI and real world assets, which the other screen confirmed we're seeing a rise in. So for meme coins, they're kind of dropping in interest after they were getting a lot of attention at the end of May. Bitcoin itself actually was getting very little attention, even when it was dipping to 103K yesterday. People just probably were talking a little more about the massive drops in altcoins in comparison because they were a lot bigger. And then layer twos are down a lot as well.
So something took over the narrative space, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, if I combined all the words around Israel-Iran conflict, it would probably make nowadays currently around 6-7%. Yeah, possible. Maybe this is a topic which took it over. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just checking the trending coins. I do see Ethereum just is dominating in discussion right now.
Yeah, is it about a little bit drama for one of the clients get? And no, okay. No,
I just see stuff related to the network activities, including the Resolve token, Ethereum futures reaching record open interest, whale purchases, price predictions. It's just all about that, as well as the ETF inflows, because it's been a big story that they are nearing 20 straight days of inflow rather than outflow days. So that's certainly a story worth paying attention to right now. Speaking of open interest, I was just taking a look at that. So we'll check out Bitcoin first and then Ethereum, since the social trends mentioned that. Big jump in open interest ever since we dropped down to about a week low yesterday. So there were a lot of liquidations going on yesterday. We went from $33 billion all the way down to $29 billion. So that was a 11.3% drop. And then since that time, we've jumped back by about 7% with $2 billion added over the past, give or take, call it 15, 16 hours or so. So that's a pretty big rise once again for Bitcoin. But according to the social trends, they're saying that we're really getting high in Ethereum. And I'd say that was probably a delay because that happened back on June 11th. And then there was a massive drop as the prices retraced. We saw Ethereum actually drop about 14% over that 24-hour span. And open interest actually fell by about 24%. So a lot of people were longing clearly right here, and liquidations were pretty massive. And even after this rise, unlike Bitcoin, Ethereum's open interest is staying down. So this is a sign that I think people have lost their confidence in those leveraged longs toward Ethereum that were doing so well throughout May and the first half of June. It's pretty fascinating to see the juxtaposition between Bitcoin and Ethereum's open interest right now. Now, there's a few other on-chain things I want to look at for both Bitcoin and Ethereum. beginning with Bitcoin, its transaction volume has kind of come back down to earth. We did have some pretty huge spikes at the early part of June, as well as a big spike right as we were reversing course about 3 days ago. So that was probably a sign that we might be taking a bit of a hiatus and seeing a local top. And that's exactly what happened. On the daily active address side, same thing, big spike right at the top here. Let's just hide a few of these so it isn't so noisy. Circulation, yeah, it's same thing. We had a little bit of a spike and then we dropped down. And then network growth, its huge spike happened on May 29th, which was a promising sign that we would rise up. For those waiting for our big video where we're going to be covering the network growth metric and giving an explainer, that'll be out soon. And we talk about this exact pattern where we see prices moving down, followed by a sudden network growth spike. That's usually a good sign that we'll rebound. And that's exactly what we kind of saw happen over the next 10 days. And then network growth has been kind of diverging since. So this was a sign that we were seeing a bit of a bearish divergence because prices are moving up, but less and less new addresses were being created as prices were rebounding.
Mm-hmm. Actually, it's a good thought. We can double check network activities on major ERC20s.
Mm-hmm.
It will reflect crowd participation. From the last ones, I mean, there are many of them. But for instance, Maker, it was doing quite good pump. Let's see how it's on the Maker side. So remove this big, super big spike, or let's take after this, just to see if we have. What is your resolution?
The price interval or network growth? Because network growth can only do daily. It doesn't go more granular.
Yeah, but is it daily? Because it looks like.
Yeah, this is daily.
Okay, and daily active addresses?
Daily active addresses.
Or like active actually, I like lately to look at active addresses 1 hour and 24 hours. I look both of them. They reveal more detailed picture. Especially if we look on a weekly chart or monthly chart. Yeah, okay, yeah, let's see. So you see, the yellow is it's 1 hour, yeah? Okay.
Correct.
So this very, very last attempt to make a new high. Of course, the price shape is already kind of questionable, but even though sometimes this price shape release or comes to spike, but here you can see, yeah, on network activity, it's dropping. So now we see it on the Maker. Let's check another one. Who was actively Aves also? Yeah. Oh, Uniswap. Check Uniswap. There was some activity that I saw it.
Yeah, Uniswap had a nice rebounding week, so they're a good one to check out.
So same picture.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So for anyone who's on the stream, it's actually one of the first patterns we discovered with our tools and metrics, and till the date maybe one of the easiest and one of the cleanest, because what you can do, you can apply it on several coins, and usually I do apply it on several coins. Not only in one I'm personally interested or invested, but I compare with or I compile usually 3, 4, 5. Now we did for 2, Maker and Uni. I would also do probably with Curve. I remember it was pumping. And ENS, we are personally interested in it. If you see this pattern, strong increase, very healthy in network activity, and then price keep pushing and metric just goes down, it means that's it. No one is participating. And why they are not doing it? Because it's okay, now I can relax, yeah? And it combined with what we said in the beginning, with Bitcoin metric, net realized profit loss, it was the same. People suddenly stopped taking profits. So you don't take profits, there is network activity, the only thing is still a kind of going up is the price, but it's like general without army. how long can you run? Not too far away.
Exactly.
So this is the thing. It's interesting. I didn't check it before stream, but now it's quite obvious. For others on the stream, we do have actually now it's for Memecoins Solana, but it's in closed beta. You will probably not find it on the platform. But I was checking because it's early access and we're doing quality assurance. It was a very similar pattern for quite some time. I was checking Fatcoin. Yeah. Oh, as I see in the stream, actually, I read comments. Someone asked about Solana. You can open Solana. For Solana, we have, I see, either we have one of them yet. Not all of them yet. I'm not sure about, is it transaction volume or is it, maybe it's transaction volume. Can you check transaction volume? Not USD, transaction volume.
Got it.
At least this one is on chain metric. Okay, so let's see what we have there. Interesting. Quite heavy. Yeah. Yeah. So this one, and then if we're looking into Solana, probably we need to. Is it easy for you to let's set social dominance? Now, okay. This is interesting. So it came first a lot of talks. You see this quite sizable spike.
Yeah.
I remember I read about there was some quite intensive discussion. So and then transaction volume came thereafter. I don't know what to make out of it yet.
Well, I still think social
One-sided-
dominance for Solana is a bit confusing because there's so much bot activity. We've seen some
true.
crazy anomalies, but
True. This is also true, yeah. This is also true. But this network volume looks not so bad. Looks good. If let's look a bit more closely, yeah. And did the top came with this bigger spike, or did it came later?
yeah. No, it was pretty much right on
Yeah.
top of where the spike happened here, and that's where it topped, and then it came back down pretty quickly.
Can we take it or transaction volume now? Is it aggregated 1 hour or how much?
It's 30 minutes. I can go a little
They
zoomed
take
out.
1
if you
hour.
want.
They take 1 hour, or then we'll take 4 hours. Okay. So actually, there seems to be a data gap.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah. There was some internet problems the last few days, and it looks like it hit us as well. Can you take now longer time? Let's say 3 months. Last 3 months. I want to see what is the pattern in Solana. If there is any clear pattern. Okay. And well, as we are looking onto 3 months, we need to, maybe take 4 hours or 12 hours, we'll see. Okay, 4 hours is okay. I can see it. Okay. So you see the same pattern we were discussing about Maker in Uniswap. On, I'm trying to look from your screen, 20 of April, was it? 20 of April, I think. Yeah. So here's the strongest rise of transaction volume. Yeah. And typically it comes in the middle of expansion. Yeah. So everything grows, and it's like everything feels good. Everyone's convinced. And this convention shows typically with trading volume, here on-chain volume. We should deliver soon also for Solana in directive addresses and network growth. Everything grows. But then, you see, we corrected for some time. Okay, correction good. And we grow one more time, and then this metric didn't grow so much anymore. So this divergence seems to be working here too. Can you see it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think if let's aggregate it by 12 hours, maybe it will become even more prominent. Otherwise, it's too many. Yeah. Not so prominent as I hoped. But they're kind of visible. You can see that on the final top, we did not make a new high in terms of transaction volumes. There was a relatively high value, but it came already on the going down. Looks like to me like by the dip. Yeah. But then even last attempt to make a high was the 22nd of May. I don't see on your screen.
Yeah, right about here, the
Yes,
22nd.
actually, it looks like it was the final top. It came
Hmm.
even on a lower reading of transaction volume. So
It
you
just
see,
squeaked
back
above
from
$180, where it's now at 145. So
yeah, so back from 20th of April, where we had the highest reading of one of the key metrics, on-chain transaction volume. Every time we were making new highs, this metric just went down and down and down. So this is divergence, and as I say, it's one of the not the one of them. I would say everyone who is serious about utilizing data and metric in trading, this is the one you should start with. Because I'm using it for 5 years. It really gives you a completely different angle how you see things. You start understanding there is a price action and there is a on-chain action which either moves in a healthy combination with the price or it starts diverging. So the moment it starts diverging, you consider exit. Or before it starts diverging, there is not much need to exit. But now back to the current situation, yeah, as it was a question from rational evidence. Actually, it is rational evidence. The current readings are very high, so I'm trying to understand what it means. We probably need to look into previous cycles of Solana. It's very new coin for us. We just added metrics, on-chain metrics recently, and they're not completed everywhere yet. Like for instance, for Solana, we're still missing, I think, network growth. According to our devs, it's like so huge pile of data, very difficult to compile or to compute. Should be finished soon, but not yet. So very new data. I'm trying to understand pattern. One seems to be working, divergence going to the top, but now this quite a sizable spike, Brian. Yeah, on a
yeah.
current move. Still, this I don't know how to read yet. Yeah, I need to be honest too. On one side, it looks like a healthy sign, so probably we'll continue up. But if we stick to our guns in terms of we want to see more decline and more concerns and more commitment to take profits in Bitcoin, so maybe, just maybe, we need to see it first before we continue also with Solana, because Solana doesn't work independently from the rest of the market.
Well, I wanted to say this. There's really four different scenarios when it
Yeah.
comes to on-chain activity, whether it's transaction volume, network growth, daily active addresses, or even circulation. Those four are all kind of related to the same thing. The amount of coins being circulated or addresses being created, they tend to go hand in hand. So when I look for signs of reversals, if the price is moving down, and then you suddenly see a huge transaction volume spike out of nowhere, it's a good sign that there could be a reversal upward. This can be due to sudden adoption of something, big news, insider accumulation of some type. You never fully know. If it's a gradual accumulation, it's a good long-term sign. So we saw something here where it was decent gradual accumulation, but it happened after a huge
Actually,
spike. Yeah.
can you select just, I think, well, it's a big resolution or a big distance. Just select this right after the huge spike of transaction volume. Yeah, after this, yeah. And then, no, not the whole one. And then till the top was made. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Compared to that time, current transaction volumes, they're really like, it tells to me that the main Solana narrative was to launch Memecoins for which you need to use Sol token. Yeah, it's really gone. It's gone. We in the beginning we investigated current pattern, and it looks like it looked like a big spike. Now, when you compare to what before, it's nothing, and we already removed the spike before. So maybe indeed pump fund who are moving, or people think they move to their own chain and take over this spirit from Solana. Maybe it's not ungrounded. Just look at these volumes. It's gone. It's not ever close. I would say Solana is a risky bet now. It's really high chance that we might see kind of liquidation event, just to scare everyone. I don't say Solana is gone. It's very unlikely. The same like Ethereum, Bitcoin died so many times. But when we look on this metric alone, transaction volume, and we know that transacting Solana coin itself for buying, selling, and as the fees and everything, it was the indicator showing activity on the network. Not even amount of active addresses, amount of Solana moved, and we have it, and it has gone to nowhere. So, and we probably have to see quite some pain. Yeah. And there was decline here, but pain was moderate. We might see stronger pain.
Yeah, its open interest looks a little more like Bitcoin than it does Ethereum.
Yeah.
So
how's
Ethereum's moving down.
How's the open interest?
So it kind of took a dip, went back up yesterday, and then it kind of saw a lot of liquidations as prices dropped back down. But it's still up higher than where it was during the tariff fears in early April.
Yeah.
Significantly.
Okay.
And then funding rate, if we're also talking about potential liquidations.
Do you do aggregated by asset? Yeah.
I'm just looking at Binance, but I can look at that too. Aggregated.
Yeah, maybe
by
let's take
asset.
both of them. Yeah.
So aggregated by asset, there is some shorting going on, not significantly, but more people betting against the price now that it's retraced compared to people who are longing.
Yeah.
So that's a good sign that we could recover. Generally, you see these shorts. I'll hide everything else for a minute. So
maybe take again a bit shorter time frames. There are some outliers on the left side of a chart. Yeah,
sure.
From here it's okay. Okay.
So these are the times to buy when you see the perpetual funding contract rate way in the short range. And then when it gets way in the long range, good time you can take profit confidently.
Even though it's, I would say the top here is not probably can be spotted with the help of founding rates. There are kind of no outliers or no signal. However, what you said in the beginning, I think we could spend a bit more time for it, where you said it's a time to buy. Yeah, this one, exactly. Move to the right. No, more.
Oh, here.
Yeah, this is the second, my favorite personally pattern. It's a wall of worry. You see, we went into the Trump tariff wars. Everyone was scared, me including. I mean, maybe I'm not scared, but concerned. It's not so easy to scare after so many years, but concerned. And then the price is increasing quite significantly. And you see sudden, in this case, sudden sell pressure, sudden sell interest. This wall of worry. People don't believe in growth, they believe in decline. And this is indeed a very good time to buy. So if sometimes it does show the tops too, like extreme, positive, green candles. Not, in this case, not. Maybe the market was typically for Solana quite nicely balanced. But this wall of worries is a show itself. And this is one of indeed good buying indicators. So you can, whoever is using our platform or founding rates, you can find some others too. This is how I prefer to use it. After decline, we go up and suddenly out of nowhere, we increase in price and you see like shorting. And here consequent for several days, right? Not just one time event. Like now we have only one candle, right? It's like difficult to trade on it. Just one. But if you see 2, 3 and here like 8, wow, or I don't know, 8 or 9, it's a strong one.
Yeah.
It's a strong one, yeah.
Well, good stuff, Brother Balance. We're at about that hour point now, so we should probably put a cap on it. I think, overall, I see some signs that short term we might still be in for a little more volatility. There is some legitimate fear going on, but not enough. So I still think we might challenge that 100K level before we really start to see some fireworks. The whales in Bitcoin are not exactly accumulating the way we would like right now. Is that your take as well? A little more downside than upside right now?
In simplified form, yes.
Yeah.
In simplified form, yes.
So I think we'll keep you updated today. We'll be watching the ETF inflows and outflows. And this was a great analysis of Solana. Balance.
What was interesting?
Your take.
Yeah. because we just start exploring our new set of metrics, and we do it now publicly. I have no problems because we know it's not like extremely a lot of people watching it, so it's okay. Otherwise, we will keep it a little bit. Those who really committed to advanced analysis, part of community or anything, it has some power, but if you know how to use it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Doesn't take too much time, too much effort, but just maybe half a year trying to apply it in different situations, and you start seeing this pattern quite fast by yourself. I like it. This basic on-chain metric divergence is really, keep checking it almost every day just to see this pattern emerges. Yeah.
You bet. All right. Thank you, Brother Max, for joining today. Thank you, Balaresh. Good to have you back running the stream.
Mm-hmm.
And we wish everyone a wonderful weekend. We'll be talking to you all soon, okay?
Talk to you next week, yeah?
Bye, guys.
Oh, next week, no, I will be on travel, but maybe in 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks from now. We'll see you.
Yeah. Okay, see you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.